We are recording. So hi everyone, on behalf of Chris and myself, thanks a lot for joining this sprint review for the Scrum Team Survey, and let's make it a fun and valuable hour. I'll share my screen from now on. And let's start with the purpose first. Chris, do you want to explain the purpose of this sprint review?
So I think at least some of you have been to previous sprint reviews in recent weeks. So you already have a sense of what we've been working on, but just to reiterate, the product goal that we're working on right now is the team dashboard, which is a subscriber feature that we are creating to help organizations with multiple Scrum teams to see where they can improve. So it's already possible with the free version to do it for a single team. But now we're adding the team dashboard as a way to do it with multiple teams. And we actually have quite a few customers right now that are already doing it with between 10 and 20 teams. So that's pretty cool. But for today, for this sprint review, the focus is very much on the question, if we look at where we are right now with the team dashboard, and we'll review that after this, what else do we really need to add to consider it good enough for now? Because Barry and I would like to move on to another product goal in the coming sprints, but we kind of want to get a sense of what do you think is absolutely necessary to add. And we're going to use the sprint review for that.
Yeah, and so these are the things that we developed in roughly the past 8 weeks. We're not gonna discuss all of them one by one, because then that would be the 1 hour sprint review, and that's quite boring and not very efficient. So maybe Chris, can you maybe just pick a couple of them and explain them?
Yeah, so we roughly spent like, how many is it, like 10 sprints on this particular product goal, the team dashboard. We started in January, and basically the things we've been adding since January was the ability to see the results for many teams in your team dashboard. We've added the option to filter those results by different groups of teams. We've also made it possible to see all the actions the teams are engaging in to make improvements together. That's, I think, pretty cool. We've also added evidence-based feedback for organizations, not just for individual teams, but for the entire organization. And we've, just as a smaller thing, we've really simplified the way to invite people to join your team from the team dashboard. That was a common request, and we also added that as part of this product goal. Now, I think we'll probably spend 3 more sprints on this product goal. So it kind of depends, and it kind of depends on what comes out of the sprint review. So that's sort of a rough overview of what we've been doing. Everything is online. Everything was already online on January 14th after the first sprint. So we've just been releasing an incremental version of the team dashboard over time. And if you've already used it, you've already seen some of these features at work, I assume.
Yep. And so during this sprint review, you'll all have the opportunity to inspect the version of the latest version of the team dashboard. Because we created a read-only version for this for the team dashboard. In a moment, we'll stay in the main channel, and we'll just give you 5 minutes individually to go through the demo team dashboard. And we've shared the link over there that you can just copy, paste, and open in your browser. You can then fill in the username and the passwords, and that will give you access to the demo team dashboards. We've got a couple of things that we want to offer to you as a sort of like guidance, and I'll just show them right now. Do you want to explain these, Chris?
Yeah,
was this something that you want to explain at a later point in time?
Very roughly, but basically, if you're going to click through the team dashboard and you've never done it before, these 5 bullets may give you some ideas on what to click around. If you've already been using it, then you can just use your own experience with that. But this is just a set of ideas, things you can click on and see what happens.
So for now, I'll just stop sharing my screen for a moment because it's a bit easier. I think the best step for now would be that you individually try to open the demo team dashboards in a different tab in your browser. And let's just take roughly 30 seconds for that and just wait if that works. Otherwise, we can
and if
give
it
you
doesn't,
some,
let me
some
know,
support.
then I can do something. We've never done it with 9 simultaneous users on the same user account. It's a bit of an experiment, but it should work.
Matthias has a thumbs up. It's a good one. We've got a virtual and a physical thumbs up. So that's nice. Yes, Eric as well.
It's working.
Christopher, I see Christopher nodding. We get so many signs of this is working. It's Tilman and Abby, for you, it's a bit more difficult to see. Obviously, is it working for you as well?
Yeah, Abby did a thumbs up in the chat.
Oh, sorry, didn't read it.
There's one raised hand from.
No, and afterwards a thumbs up.
Cool.
So then I would say, Chris, shall we just start the 5 minutes right now?
Yeah. Feel free to turn off your webcam and your microphone for those 5 minutes to just focus on clicking around. We'll do an interactive breakout room afterwards, so you can share your experiences with each other and also with us. So, see you back in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Good luck.
Will you set a timer, Barry?
Yes, I will do that. Okay, and that was 5 minutes. You're muted, Chris. And you're still muted.
I have 2 mute buttons. That's annoying. But now I'm back. But 5 minutes was probably not enough. But I know that a lot of you are also using the Scrum Team Survey, so you know from experience how things work. Barry, will you kick off what we're doing next?
Yeah. So in a moment, I'll put you in a breakout room, probably with 2 others. I think I'm just going to create 2 breakout rooms. I'm not sure what. Did we set a time box for this, Chris, in the breakout room?
Let's just do 8 minutes or something.
I think we can easily do 10. I'm just going to do 10 minutes. 10 minutes in a breakout room. Take some time to introduce yourself if you don't know each other yet. And then just share your findings with each other. And maybe if you still have it open, the team dashboard, you can also just go to the team dashboard together with each other. And on slide 8, 9, or 10, you can just drop your feedback. And so just while sharing feedback, also make some notes and share them in slide 8, 9, or 10. Anything to add, Chris?
No, let's just see what comes out. Am I in one of the rooms?
Do you want me to put you in a breakout room?
Yeah, please. I'll just ask questions and clarify. I'm just there to sort of listen.
And I'm going to do the same. So Chris is in breakout room 1. I'm going to join breakout room 2. So see you back in 10 minutes.
Cool. Enjoy.
More. And we've started again. So you just had a breakout room moment, and one observation is that we went quite fast. It was quite a very short time box, and also the 5-minute time box to get a sense of the team dashboard was probably quite short. The good news is that we still have quite a lot of time left, so we can take it a bit more easy from now on. Chris, just whispering out loud in this virtual space, maybe would it be an idea if we would just share the team dashboards, so that we all look at the same thing and talk about the same things, and then maybe just review it together?
Yeah, I can share my screen
If
with the dashboard, sure.
Yeah. And then maybe just per room, we can just maybe just share some observations, and then Chris can probably
click to it. Yeah, I'm showing the right screen, right? I'm not showing another. Okay, perfect.
No, nothing weird.
No. Okay, let's go.
Maybe the room that I was in, Matthias, Eric, and Abby. So do you guys wanna start? Maybe just you don't have to share everything, but maybe just the things that stand out for you, that you want to bring attention to.
So something I really liked was the team help requests directly on the dashboard, and that they are a clickable link, and I get directly to where I get the informations about this. One observation. Another observation was it's the first time that I see these dashboards for more than one team, and another observation was that it's a little dangerous because I don't know the English word. People tend maybe to compare teams and then say to team A, hey, why you are don't doing as well as team B or something like this. And if you're starting this team really fast, will game the metrics, so the metrics then becomes useless. So I think some maybe some warning or something that this isn't intended or that this isn't useful need to be maybe given here, because I think especially if I'm a manager and take a look and I see okay, one team is doing really bad and I'm not a agile or experienced agile leader, it could lead to some bad outcomes.
Can I ask two questions about that, because this has been on my mind for like a long time, how to deal with this. The first is maybe sort of an idea that I have, and the second is a question. Let's begin with the idea. So my idea would be, okay, suppose that a manager does come in and sort of want to weaponize these numbers, which they could if they want to. I sort of have this belief that the things that we're measuring, psychological safety, for example, stakeholder collaboration, refinement, I'm sure a manager can go to a team and say, you're scoring low on psychological safety, be more psychological safe as a team, or collaborate more with stakeholders. And there's this voice in my head that says, well, if a manager says that, then that's fine, because then a team can say, okay, that's perfect, but then we need this from you. What are your thoughts on this? Maybe also from others, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I always see it with data and anything that we can observe is that it just brings a discussion. And if we can have a discussion about it, then that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. And making it in a visual way that we go, well, this is what we're saying. So how can we go about it? So the fact that it's not just, and again, if someone was to weaponize it, as you've rightly put, we've got the tips in this tool as well. We can go, well, okay, well, these are the things that we are being recommended that we could do. Would you be willing to also participate in that? That sort of thing. So the fact that it's not just a tool that just goes, oh, here are some numbers and we're improving or not improving, and the fact that we've actually got some guidance of how to tackle it, I think that for me is the game changer.
Actually, regarding your idea, I think you're correct if it's a strong team, but I could really imagine that there are also a lot of teams who are not that self-confident or something like this, or that are maybe also a little bit lazy, and they think, okay, if we score low somewhere, the manager comes. So what we will do next time, we will score high. I mean, they can't do it for the stakeholders, so that's a really great thing, I guess. But at least for themselves, it's really easy to have higher numbers then, because they know, okay, then it's like yeah, then the people let us just work, right? So
right. They won't bother us if we score high.
Yeah. so I think it's a valuable thing for high confident teams, but there are still, I could imagine, could be some issues with that.
What's the idea that you have, Chris?
Yeah, that brings me to the question that I had. It's sort of an idea also, but there are two ways that we can deal with this. The first one would be to just hide all the team results from the dashboard. We don't show any numbers for individual teams, I mean. That would be one way to deal with this, but then it's sort of, you lose a lot of potential
and Chris,
conversations.
maybe just to be on the same page, if you go to the insights page, and then just click one topic, because this is where you can also see multiple teams, just to be so that we are clear about it.
But we could hide this. We could remove this, and we could also, in the dashboard, you could also see the teams for the dots. So we could also hide that. That's one way to go about this. An alternative way would be, Tilman's raising his hand. I'll get to you in a moment, Tilman. Another idea would be to sort of ask people in the team when they're doing the questionnaire to say, is it okay for people in my organization to see the results of my team? And if everyone in the team agrees, then we show the results, but we don't show it otherwise. And that's another idea that we had. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
That could be a good idea, just to bring up a point on that one. So, for example, in my organization, we use Pulse. So again, this is an application, third-party application, where we can give feedback and we can open up to certain groups and individuals in terms of whether it's anonymized or not.
I like that almost everyone is raising their hand now. It's like,
let's start with Tilman, because you were first. Tilman, you were first. Go ahead.
First of all, I think it's an important point. And okay, I even raised earlier that I would like even transparency down to the individual level, actually. But anyway, that's maybe a different point. And of course, I understand the things that were raised. And I feel one question maybe that's missing in the overall numbers, I'm not quite sure, is I don't know, something like, does it feel safe for you to, publish these numbers either on a team level or on an individual level, or do you feel, because if this is sort of tracked, like how is management reacting? How is the assessment of management reacting to the numbers? Make that transparent in the survey itself and on this dashboard itself, like saying, oh, people are not trusting even that the numbers are shown. That would give an immediate kind of thing, oh, this whole thing might be rigged because it's people are not even trusting how people deal with it. Something like that.
Yeah. That's a great idea. But in that case, you would still ask the people in the team if they're okay with publishing their results, right?
Probably that would be sort of adding another layer of safety to say, please agree. But even if they agree, it would be good, I think, because sometimes they agree because it's sort of giving a lot of pressure maybe to say, well, you don't want to be the team who doesn't agree, because that would feel like, whoa, there's something really bad going on. Yeah. So maybe people might agree, but still feels it's not quite safe. So it would be probably good to have both things, I believe.
Good idea. I'm writing it down, by the way, in the slides. And in the meantime, I think Erik also raised his hand for a while ago.
Chris, can you maybe, your notepad is visible in the screen?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Erik, go ahead. You're muted, by the way. We can't hear you.
Yeah, that didn't help. I don't know what you mean by not showing some of the information, but indeed, I think it was already mentioned. I would just anonymize it, and I really like the idea that people can actually say, for my team, you can publish it, and for other teams, they can say, I don't want it published, because it really gives an indication about how teams feel about the entire environment. But I would include at least all the data points, and then just without name or an anonymous name.
Yeah.
It's also interesting then if, for example, psychological safety is quite high for all the teams, but then if a lot of teams would not like their results to be shown visibly, that's also would be just interesting data.
Well, we actually talked about this, Barry, where the idea was, what if psychological safety in a team is low, we just don't show the results. We don't even ask, because if psychological safety is low, we're not showing you the results, which kind of is a way for organizations to actually build more safety, because otherwise we don't show anything. But that's also very difficult to do well in practice. So
and I think there is a big difference between psychological safety within the team to within the organization. So I think I know a lot of teams, within the team, they are really psychological safe, but they don't feel safe as soon as it comes to stakeholders or managers. Two things I wanted to add. I really like the idea to ask the team. I wouldn't remove the data from the dashboard, because I wouldn't say because a knife is a dangerous tool, you shouldn't produce knives, right? So it's still a tool in my opinion, and it's valuable. But I think you should kind of educate people how to use this tool or this knife. So I would suggest maybe if someone new get the dashboard or something, that there is some information about it where people could read that to weaponize it's a bad idea and why. And I think if people read this, they will trust you, because otherwise they wouldn't use your instrument. And probably the chance that they use it in a bad way really decreases with that.
I like that. Yeah. So the focus would be more on education, like how you actually use these numbers well.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Finally, Matt, before we move on to another question.
Yeah, if it's about this particular point with the feedback, then let's move on.
Okay. Well, maybe I just wanted to add one thing which we didn't discuss in the review, because we wanted to do that in a future review. But actually this sprint, we also delivered a short questionnaire that teams can send to the supporters in the organization that are there to help them. So managers, leaders, external coaches, and so on, where the team basically asks them to evaluate to what extent these people are actually supporting the team in the right areas. So it's not about the supporters evaluating the team, but about basically the team sort of seeing where are the gaps between the help that we're getting from them and the help that's being given, which is also a way to sort of hopefully get the right kind of conversations in organizations. But that's something that we'll review in more detail in a future sprint review.
Is it already visible, Chris, in the insights page?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it's already visible. Actually, you can see it here in the bottom here. So support for stakeholder concerns, support for team autonomy, support for responsiveness. So both the team gives their answers to this, and the supporters that are invited give their answers. And it could be that there's a big gap between those.
So to be very clear, this is not. We are not asking management and leaders in the organizations to rate the teams or judge the teams. It's sort of like self-reflection. What are you as a manager, as a leader, doing to create an environment where teams can be successful?
Yeah.
Just a quick clarification point. Christian, are you synonymously using the term management and organizational? Because in the product goals you use organizational support, but of course in our map here we use management support. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, I should actually change this to organizational support. I haven't done so yet because I don't want to break the backwards compatibility for teams that are familiar with that term, but it should be organizational support, yes.
Okay, good to know. Thanks.
So that was sort of a big discussion around how to deal with the privacy, which is and the safety. But what are other things that I think we were talking about the team that was in room 2. So what else did you discover in your conversation?
Actually, it's not about this page. I guess on the tips or action page. Yeah, there regarding the focus areas, I was asking myself how they do you create these tips? Because what is if, for example, here one team from my batch of teams is really good at release frequency and another one is really bad in. So is this tip then for all of these teams, or is it just for some teams? So being clear about this, because I could imagine if people don't think about this, and then some team is there really good, and there's someone going to them and placing them in action items, they're saying, hey, what should, why that? So kind of,
right.
I'm thinking about that was something I observed.
Yeah, we should clarify that. Yeah.
I noticed that it's filtered by the tags that we use, right? So it doesn't differentiate from team to team.
No, right now it's sort of like we basically calculate the average score for all the teams together for example, the degree of team autonomy that they have. And then we give them tips for it. But like Matthias suggests, there is a scenario where one team scores very high and the other scores very low. So the average is okay, but not very high, not very low. But you can, if you change the team filter here and you select, for example, a particular group of teams,
Okay.
and it will actually refresh with just the tips for those the teams in that group.
That's great.
I just wonder whether scientifically you can weight some of those. So if you did have a team that was very good, it might, whereas you had several that are lower.
It's a weighted average, actually.
It is. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
it is. So but in this case, it's the team size that we're using, that we're weighing for.
Ah, okay. Cool.
So maybe I also want to give the other room the opportunity. Maybe they had different findings or feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, we were just going to say, just on that very tips page, that I just with the UI bar, just with the plus. I have to go all the way across the screen to click on it, and it opens up. If it was just a full bar, that'd be great, but that's a very small.
Yeah, but those are the easy fixes for me. So
Yeah.
I like that.
more of those, please.
Yeah, and Christopher, you also had a lot of great things because you've already used it once in the past.
Yeah, so just a few things that stuck out to me. There's a lot of things that have changed since I last used the survey. So it's really interesting to get back to it. The entire actions system is all new. And I was clicking through that, really trying to explore it during our time on our own. And I was trying to kind of match up what that was. And I was clicking through on the insights page. And the first thing I was trying to do was try to see what the different actions are and what the request for help, and I was clicking on them, and especially on the continuous improvement, it was really kind of hard to line up what was happening and what was related, because I saw 4 actions and 2 requests for help, but then when I clicked on the actions, I had 5 items, and I was just trying to see, how those line up there.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things. And then I didn't know if, when you look across an organization, is this for all of the teams, or is this for the team that I'm currently working with? I assumed it was all from what is here.
Yeah, it's all the teams, but also here, if you specify a team filter, you basically recalculates all the scores for just the teams that match the filter.
Okay, and those filters are based off of tags.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Just so that it's as flexible as you want it to be.
Excellent.
If you hover over Chris, I'm just curious, like you see beneath organizational insights, that line, and it says 4 teams. If you go to the right, oh yeah, over there as well. Oh, okay.
What do you want me to do, Barry?
No, that's it. I was just curious, like it doesn't explain the
Shows
filter.
the different teams.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Matt, you've got a question or comment?
Yeah, I think sort of just tying into Chris's points. Of course, he's not been on here for 6 months. I think what would be cool if you haven't got something is some sort of page, whether it's in the community tab or something, where we just get a version control update. What are the new updates since the last time? Even some tooltips of some of the latest features would be cool.
That's a good idea to put the updates in the community tab. I haven't thought of that, because it keeps being a problem for me. Like, how do we update about the changes? There is a Medium post that we update every time, and there's on Discord we post updates, but there's no single channel we have yet. But this might be a good place, actually. Thanks. That's good.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthias, in our conversation, you also shared an idea about the actions page, and I think something about what could be useful for the retrospective. Or can you maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah. Actually, I thought about the actions page where I could plan all my actions. And I really like the idea, and I was thinking about if we could build it a little bigger, so that we don't need to use different tools. So for example, having a Miro board for the retrospective, then putting the action items from Miro into these action sections, so that I just have one section where I could do the whole retrospective. I think that it's probably a bigger change, but I think it's something really interesting, because I really like to have one system for one kind of thing, and because jumping back and forth between different things is kind of hard. And I also thought I really like that I could add duration dates to my actions, and maybe there is an option that I create a calendar invite out of this. So because then I could directly add this meeting in a calendar and add my teammates. I think that would make it a lot easier to directly conduct it, and don't have only a deadline, but really some planned date. And then I think the possibility that I will follow up on this will definitely increase, because for me it's kind of, sometimes if it isn't in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So yeah.
Same here. That's a really good idea. I like that. It's quite easy to add as well. Talking about the connection to other platforms, do you have an idea, Matthias, on what might be possible to do that? Because I've been struggling with that, because every platform has its own API, and connecting to all those platforms is very hard, and security-wise sometimes very difficult in many organizations. Do you have
maybe Matthias, just to clarify, do you mean connecting, or do you mean expanding the action space so you don't have to connect anymore?
Yeah, actually I was meaning to expand the action page, so that I could easily do a retrospective within
do you have an example, Matthias, of something that you would like to expand this page with? Because what is currently missing that you are using in other tools?
I mean, I think it's probably hard to build. Currently we use a lot of Miro, so kind of a whiteboard or something like this to add. I think it's not so easy to add probably, but something in this direction, so that I could do a retrospective completely in these actions area. That was it was an idea. So I think probably it's a bigger topic. But
does that also tie into your next sprint goal, which is about the evidence-based stuff as well? Because for me, for example, I think that's what Matthias is going through is a nice idea, but for me it would be cool, like, okay, we do another snapshot, what has improved, how did we improve it, but also providing the evidence for it to see how that changes, be it for better or for worse. But I hate sort of tool switching, but I wouldn't expect you guys to replicate something like Miro. But even if it was, if we were just focusing purely on the insights that we get, okay, what does it tell us? What is it? Was there a hypothesis that we set ourselves up to try and improve in a particular area? How many action items, or what action items did we achieve in that time?
Yeah, but the attention that you're both expressing is that it would be nice if you could sort of run a sprint retrospective with just the Scrum Team Survey in the background and not need other tools. So maybe we can think about ways to support that. Maybe we can just create an external Miro or mural page where you can do that. I don't know, just something to dig into.
So we need 5 minutes to wrap up. So we can take 5 more minutes to just talk about some feedback. And I see Christopher and Tilman. Christopher, do you want to get started maybe?
Just one quick, it might be a wild idea, but when I saw the actions for the first time today, the first thing I thought of was the similarity to something I've used in application performance monitoring with like New Relic or something. I don't know if anybody's ever used the deployment markers, but that's the first thing I thought of with these actions is, you have these actions, you're trying to make changes on the team, and the team wants to gauge, did did our change or did our thing that we want to do have an impact? And especially on the trending tab where you can see the data across time, being able to drop those actions in and say, we took this action at this date,
Right.
and then what happened afterwards. And then over time, you could really see those actions on that timeline and see what impact we're having, to our team. That could be really valuable to the team and seeing what they're doing over, how their actions are making an impact.
It's kind of the holy grail that I'm looking for, to be honest, with this tool, because it would be nice if we can actually collect that kind of data, like what sort of interventions actually make a difference, because we can measure it, right? We have the data. So yeah, this is definitely something I want to add.
I think you have a lot of the pieces there because you already have the actions, you already have what impact you're wanting to expect from it, which may be different from what actually happens, but at least you have what the desired goal was, and then you also have a completion date and a goal date. And so with all that information, I think it would be just putting it all together on the same graph. Hopefully, don't want to oversimplify it, but I think you've got the pieces there that could come together and create something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, that's great.
And Tilman?
Yeah, well, one very small feedback that I just want to bring it, since I didn't bring it in the breakout, is I felt the tips, just the name, it was focus areas, I think on the page, it says tips here. Tips is also, for me, I don't know, at first I felt like tips and actions, what's the difference exactly? It's both kind of forward oriented. Now I get a little bit more of it. But I don't know, maybe around the wording, making it a little bit more clear what each of these is.
What would make more sense for you? What is a term that resonates more?
I think focus areas made more sense than when I looked at the page. Okay, these are more broader focus areas, I felt, but yeah.
The big challenge is focus areas is only a part of that entire page. So we need to think about how to...
Language is always the hardest.
Yeah.
But this is good feedback, Tilman. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is very helpful.
So Chris, I think this is roughly also a good moment to show some other things. So
Sure. What do you want me to show?
The Google presentation once more.
Oh, right.
And then more like the road ahead, because we've got roughly about 5 minutes left. So then we can talk a bit more about what's next.
Let me drag this one in then. Slideshow. Yeah, so before diving into this one, by the way, let me just say how super useful it is to hear you talk about the tool, to hear the opportunities that you see, but also the discussions that we can have here. This is just an amazing example of a sprint review that's super helpful. And so far, all the sprint reviews we've done are super helpful, but I've been with Scrum teams where the sprint review was not always super helpful. This is a super helpful sprint review. So thank you for being part of this. Now, we also collect a bunch of metrics to sort of see if this whole project is also sort of, it can sustain itself at some point, because right now, Barry and I are just investing in it, and we have a lot of patrons who are helping us indirectly with this as well. But ultimately, we do hope that it can sort of survive on its own without outside investment from us or the patrons. But at this point, the subscriber churn rate was quite high in the start of the new year, because I think a lot of companies make a decision whether or not to stick with it at the end of the year. So we had some people leaving, but since then it's been very stable. So there are only very few customers that cancel, which is completely surprising to me. I expected that some people would try it for a month and then stop, but that's not really happening. Most people just stick around, and that's great. We are making more revenue. We are at 820 euros, something around that. It's a bit higher, I think. But that's good, because it means that all the operational costs are covered. We're still making a loss, but that's okay. But we need to, somewhere around 5,000 would be the goal to sort of make it sustainable enough, so that we can also spend time on development and support, and maybe hire someone to help with that. That would be perfect. And who knows what else is possible beyond that, but that's sort of the first goal. And the number of subscribers is growing. We're at 20 new subscribers in the past 4 months. And a lot of those are bigger companies with more than 10 teams, which is great, because it's also giving us an opportunity to learn how large organizations are using the Scrum Team Survey. So we're directly communicating with all these organizations to learn from them to see where we can improve the platform. In general, because we have so many new people coming in, the server load is increasing, which is something I already anticipated, and we need to scale up somewhere this summer, which is good news. But that's sort of roughly what we know from the metrics that we have. Is there anything, Barry, you want to add to that?
No, not really. Yeah, it's not a metric, but we've also kickstarted quite a lot of new local user groups, and quite a few local user groups are also starting experiments with bringing real data from the Scrum Team Survey into the meetups that they are hosting. So instead of assumption-based meetups, they're focusing more on data-driven meetups.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a cool experiment as well. So I think one more, Chris, one more slide.
Yeah, and that brings us sort of to the question that we also wanted to answer with this sprint review, to get a sense of, are there big things that we still need to add before moving on to the next product goal? The next product goal probably will be around the questionnaire. We've collected a lot of feedback that is sort of like, can you shorten the questionnaire because it's quite long? Can you make one for agile, generic agile teams? Can you make one that supports Kanban teams? I think we're going to focus a bit more on those kinds of features in the coming sprints, say in the next product goal that we have in mind, which will probably start in April. But that it can change. We don't exactly know right now yet. But that's it for this one. If you want to look at the roadmap, we have a link here. You can click on it and it takes you to a mural. And in the mural, you can actually see the other features that we still have in mind. The ones that are green are the ones that we've implemented since these are big features, like the ones that we've implemented since the start of development. The yellow ones are ones we still want to implement in the coming sprints. Our goal right now is to use the summer to sort of decide what other big things do we still want to add to the Scrum Team Survey, or are we happy with where we are right now, and are we going to focus a bit more on scaling it up and out a bit more to get more customers in. That's for the summer.
Yep, and with 3 minutes left, timing was excellent. So if you're not a subscriber yet for the Scrum Team Survey, well, maybe this triggered an interest to do so. Many of you, maybe all of you, are patrons. If you are a contributor, then you already have access for the Scrum Team Survey for up to 1 team. If you are a liberator, then you have access to the Scrum Team Survey for up to 3 teams, just so you know. Any closing questions, comments, feedback from you?
Thanks very much for your efforts, as always. It was great to be here on this lovely Friday afternoon, or morning in your case, Chris, but no, many thanks for the interaction. Looking forward to getting my hands dirty with it again.
Cool.
Well, thank you as well.
Well, thank you all for being here. And if you start using it, or if you use it and you run into issues, or you have additional ideas, just send an email. We release almost every day. So if it's something that I can fix easily or add easily, I'll do it right away. And other ideas, or if you want us to chat with your team about something, we're always happy to do that.
Cool. Then thanks for joining, and enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'll stick around, Barry, for a few minutes.